Hello, welcome to my class once again. So in the previous class we discussed about legislature, the meaning of legislature, and even we discussed about unicameral and bicameral legislature. So today we'll discuss about some of the important functions of the legislature one by one. So the first and foremost function of legislature is lawmaking. So that we know it by the definition or the meaning of legislature itself has made us clear that legislature is a lawmaking body. So first important function is lawmaking body. So legislature is a lawmaking body. Okay, so laws are made in the legislature. Okay, discussion takes place, debate goes on, then after that voting takes place and laws are passed in the legislature. Like if you talk about the passing of laws in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, both the houses will participate in the lawmaking. Okay, and then finally it will be assented by the president and it will become a law. So all these things takes place in the legislature, that is Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Same thing goes on in the other houses of the parliament of other countries. Okay, so once again the first and foremost function of legislature is to make laws. Okay, so traditionally laws were derived from customs, okay, traditions and religious scriptures, or were issued by the king as their command. But in the modern times this trend has completely been changed. The now laws are passed in the legislature and the members who are elected by the people, or we can say the representatives of people, are involved in the making of laws for the country. Okay, now the second one we have is deliberative function. So what is the meaning of deliberative functions? That also I'll make it clear. Okay, so to deliberate upon matters of national importance. To deliberate upon the matters of national importance, public issues, okay, and then problems and policies is an important function of the legislature. So what is done through these functions, my dear? The legislature makes the executive aware of the aspirations, views, difficulties or grievances of the people. It is through the executives or the legislature, through the executives, they try to make the executive aware that these are the problems being faced by the people of the country, and accordingly laws are being passed in the legislature. So to deliberate upon the matters of national importance, public issues, is an important function of the legislature. Okay, so the next one we have is the custodian of national finance. So why I am discussing all this in short? Because again in the another part of this chapter we have to discuss about the legislative, executive, judicial, constituent functions of both the houses, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, House of Representative, the Senate. All these things again we have to discuss in detail. Okay, so just I am giving you the important highlights of their important highlight of the functions of the legislature. Custodian of national finance. This is to be understood clearly, my dear. Custodian of the national finance. So finance of the nation is in the hands of the legislature. The national finance is in the hands of the legislature. Okay, so legislature has full control over the national finance. The national finance of our country is completely under the control of the legislature. That means no money can be raised or spent without the prior permission of the legislature. Without the prior permission of the legislature, the executive even cannot spend the money. Okay, they need to be it need to be approved by the legislature before they spend the money. Okay, even expenditure like expenditure charged on the consolidated fund of the state cannot be made without the knowledge of the legislature. So it must be brought in the knowledge of the legislature. Okay, so every year executive prepares the budget. Budget is the income and expenditure of the government. So and it is passed from the legislature. It is passed from the legislature. What are the requirements? What are the amounts required for the country? So budget is placed in front of the legislature. So once it gets passed from the legislature, then they can utilize the budget for the development of the country or whatsoever. Okay, that means every financial year, before the start of the financial year, budget is presented by the finance minister of our country in the parliament with the prior permission of the president. So in short, we can say that the national finance is completely under the control of the legislature. Without the prior approval of the legislature, even the executives cannot spend a single penny from it. Okay, so and one more thing, like imposition of taxes and all, like taxes are imposed. Not only the legislature passes the budget, but it alone has the power, or it alone can approve the imposition or repeal. Repeal means to remove or to collect money. How much taxes to be imposed, or what should be taxes should be removed or repealed. Everything will be decided by the legislature. Okay, and then further, the legislature maintains a vigil on the finance. It has a eagle eye on the finances of the country, whether it is whether it is being utilized for the in a proper way or not. Okay, so finances, transactions made by the executives in respect of budget allocations, everything are looked after by the legislature. So if any things goes wrong, my dear, they are being asked. The finance ministers or those who spend the money unnecessarily on useless things will be questioned in the parliament. So this is all about the custodian of the national finance. So legislature is overall, we can say that the boss, or we can say that legislature controls over the national finances of our country. So now next point number 4, constituent functions of the parliament. Constituent function of the legislature. Children, don't get confused when I talk about like a legislature, parliament. Both are same. Okay, legislature, another term for legislature is parliament. Okay, so constituent functions of the legislature. So what is mean of constituent? Constituent definitely means when we try to amend the constitution, then what role is being played by the legislature. So as you know that, I'll give you the example of Indian parliament, like the Parliament of India, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So whenever a legislature gets involved in the amendment procedure, then both the approvals are definitely required. Okay, so in almost every states, it is the legislature which has the power to amend the constitution. So amendment power of the constitution is in the hands of the legislature. Okay, so legislature is a state. Okay, legislature of every state is vested with the power to amend the constitution. Like in some of the states, the requirement to pass the amendment with the 2/3 or 3/4 or the absolute majority of vote is required. Okay, so that is how the amendment procedure takes place in the legislature. Okay, the constituent function. That means we are talking about amendment making function of the legislature. Okay, so both are involved. Both the lower house as well as the upper house is required. Okay, so that I have already discussed in group B of political science. Okay, section B of political science. So there you can watch the video. I have already given it over there. The next one we have is electoral function. So what is the meaning of electoral functions? So legislature, what type of electoral function is played by the legislature? Like if you talk about the Parliament of India, two houses are there, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So what type of electoral functions or role they play? So both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha they get involved in the election of the president of our country. The president of our country is elected by the members of both houses of the parliament, is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And I'm talking about Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It's not that these two are only involved. The state assemblies are also involved. But here we are talking about Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha's role of electoral role. Okay. Then again, the speaker of Lok Sabha is elected from among the members. That means the member of Lok Sabha elect one speaker. Okay. So before that, the vice president of our country is also elected by the member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, electoral function. Then the deputy speaker of Lok Sabha is also elected by the member of Lok Sabha from among themselves. Then let us now come to Rajya Sabha. So in Rajya Sabha, by default, vice president is the ex-office chairperson. So no need of electing the vice president as a chairman of the Rajya Sabha. But apart from the vice president of India, a deputy chairperson is also elected from among the members of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so this is all about the electoral functions of the legislature of India, that is both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha's involvement. Now if we talk about Switzerland, in Switzerland the Federal Assembly elects the member of Federal Council and the Federal Tribunal. If we talk about US, that means United States of American Parliament, that is we call it as US Congress, then when the presidential election takes place, when no candidates gets into majority, let me clear it. In America, the separate body is elected in order to elect the president of America. Okay, but when there is no one in majority, or no one gets the clear majority to be declared as a president of America, then at that time the House of Representatives can take a decision. US House of Representatives elect one of the top 3 candidates. Suppose 4 candidates are there, out of that nobody got the majority, so out of that who is the topmost candidate of that election, so that will be elected or decided by the House of Representatives. Okay, so this is the electoral functions of the legislature. Okay, now next one we have is judicial functions. In terms of judiciary, you know that Supreme Court is there, High Court is there, many of the other courts are there. They are the one given the power to dispense justice if there is a failure of any law in the country. But there are certain things which also falls under the jurisdiction of the legislature, like whenever a president is to be impeached, if the president of the country like India or America goes against the constitution, or if they are to be proved misbehavior, then the process to remove them are played in the legislature. So in that case, both the houses, I'll give you the example, like in case of India, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, if the allegation is imposed on the president by Lok Sabha, then it will be investigated by Rajya Sabha, and then if it is vice versa. If it is by Rajya Sabha, then Lok Sabha will investigate, and if it is by Lok Sabha, then it will be investigated by the Rajya Sabha. But during that, during that time, a president will be present over there to defend himself. So once it is proved and it is passed by 2/3 majority by both the houses, then president remains impeached from the day of the passing of the motion. The same case is with the USA also, but in USA there is a slight difference. House of Representative cannot play a role of impeachment directly in the president of America. Okay, House of Representative can frame a charge. Like in India, I told both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha can frame a charge and can be investigated by the other house. But in America, House of Representative can only frame the charges, but the entire investigation will be done by the Senate. The final decision will be taken by the Senate regarding the impeachment of the president. So this is all about the impeachment of the president of America, as well as the Supreme Court judges and all this takes place in the legislature, because this that means the president of America or president of India, they hold a very dignified position. They cannot be treated like ordinary people in the courts and all. So that position of that chair must be preserved. That is why they are impeached in this manner by the legislature. So this is all about the functions of the legislature. So this was for today. Hope you all have understood it. So if you have any queries, then you can comment in the comment section. Okay, I'll clear the doubts there also. So in the next class, I'll continue with 2 more topics left regarding the function of the parliament, that is control over the executive in a parliamentary system and control over the executive in a presidential system. So these 2 things I'll discuss in the next class. So till then, take care, stay safe, and if you have not subscribed my channel, so please subscribe it, like it, and please share among your friends also. Thank you.